How are we already more than halfway through summer? I feel like I've barely done all the outdoor activities I've wanted to do. Better start checking off this list before the weather gets too cold. Turboprop Racing, also known as Rapid Racer outside the US, is a motorboat racing game that released for the PlayStation in the late 90s. This is an arcade-style racing game with a heavy focus on the water effects and mechanics. As the manual describes it, it's a battle between you and nature, and you'll either win or be deep sixed. You start out with 3 boats, each excelling in one stat. They can be upgraded by winning a race after collecting all the yellow buoys on specific tracks and completing the bonus round. Turboprop Racing has an underwhelming 6 tracks in it. Not a whole lot of game to be had here, but one cheat code made me want to check it out. If you enter your name with the space followed by QAK, all of the boats will turn into rubber ducks. They'll even quack while you race or bump into each other. Though this is purely cosmetic and doesn't affect the boats in any way. So what would the challenge be if the ducks aren't the worst in the game? Well, I figured all the starting boats would fit the bill, since they have the lowest stats. And while using them on hard mode, who's to say how they'll measure up to the other boats, especially without upgrades? So let's see if you can beat Turboprop Racing as a rubber duck. For this challenge, I'm going to try and beat every single race in the game on hard mode. I chose Waterhawk as my duck because it has the highest speed stat among the 3 starter boats, and I assumed that I'd need it while on a higher difficulty. The main game starts out on the 1 race mode, and you can select between 3 tracks. I went to Golden Sands, Miami, and had a hell of a time trying to figure the game out. Oh god. Why did I turn around? Come on! You move around with the D-pad or the analog sticks. Actually, this was one of the earliest games to utilize PlayStation's first DualShock controller. Turning too hard for too long and hitting land or rocks will cause the duck to spin out, but you can use L or R to make lighter turns. Buoys, or these coin-looking things, can be collected in each track. Green ones will give you a boost when you hit triangle, and 3 can be held at one time. Blue ones will freeze the timer, and red ones will take away spots for the green buoys, but they can be negated after collecting 2 green buoys to remove and replace them. In this mode, the races are singular and arcade catch-up-like, with a timer and checkpoints to hit to increase the timer. You're also up against 15 other boats, or ducks, in total, so there's no time to waste to get to first. By the final lap, I had a better understanding of how my duck should handle the Miami waters, though it was too late by then to clutch out a win. I fared better on my next try through, and took it a lot easier while boosting any chance I had. I don't think the other ducks appreciated that, though. Why did I turn around? I wasn't even doing anything. You can't tell at first, but after I moved up to first in the final lap, some other duck attacked me, as shown by this arrow here. This dropped me down to second, and for the remainder of the race, this other duck and I traded first place back and forth. I made a few sloppy turns and thought that might have costed me, but thanks to one boost and maybe some luck, I barely scraped by. Oh dear. Yes! Yes! Ooh, that was so close. Winning the race unlocked the 4th track, though I kept my progression by going in order and loaded up track number 2, Wildwater Canyon. This one is more fast-paced than the calm waters of Miami, and had a lot more turns to make, which took some time to adjust to. Same goes for this section, where you have to turn all the way up to the end of this cave. I think you're supposed to stay in between the waves here, but I couldn't seem to figure it out and kept falling back to the edge. The second lap was a bit chaotic because I was spamming boost to try and get out of the lower positions. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that, because that made me lose control of my duck more often than not, though I did manage to get myself in the top 3 in the last lap. I was close behind first and second and tried to boost past them in the cave. That completely failed and brought me to the wall. In a last-ditch effort, I used one boost I got right before the finish line, but I couldn't quite make it work. Oh man, that was so close. Wildwater Canyon took me a few tries to get down and helped me develop a better feel for this game. Spamming boosts was obviously a bad choice, so instead, I only used them on straight paths. Boosting in this cave also doesn't work, though I found it fairly difficult to try and get through it properly at all. God, I'm trying to ride the current. Playing more cautiously brought me up to the top 3 in the final lap again, and I passed into first place right before hitting the cave. That's where things started to go downhill. I took it easy and felt like I played this area as best as I could, but 2 other ducks still managed to get ahead of me. Luckily, I had 3 boosts banked up, and it only took 2 of them to win the race. There we go. Woo! The next area I went to is Glacier Bay, Alaska. This is the first race to offer yellow buoys for bonuses, though we won't be worrying about those. But in all honesty, at this point in my run, I had no idea what they did anyway. The water was calmer than Wildwater Canyon, but for added difficulty, this track had some more rocks and red buoys to avoid. While I hit a few of both here and there, my first playthrough of this race was fairly decent. Somehow, by the final stretch of the last lap, I had no boost to my name, and somehow barely passed the other ducks to finish in first. Holy crap, I did it without boosting at the end. What? What the hell? Completing this race unlocked the final track, but before I can get there, I had to race at Bear Lake, Canada, which is track level 3. That confused me for a moment, probably because I barely pay attention to a lot of things in the games I play, but the track levels represent the difficulty. Golden Sands, Miami was only level 1, and Wildwater Canyon and Glacier Bay, Alaska were level 2. Bear Lake, Canada is the first level 3 track, and it has a lot of hills and drops. Drops don't really affect you that much, but it's good to have a boost on hand when going up a hill since that'll slow you down. By the second lap, I was within the top 3 spots and was approaching second place. However, my overconfidence got the better of me at the worst time, as they sometimes do in these challenges. Man, am I just good or what? Okay, well, shouldn't have spoke, because that's what happens. This didn't hold me back as much as I thought it would, and I'd overtake second in the last lap while slowly approaching first. I could have took the lead if I didn't stupidly boost into the rock side. Oh my god, please, no! No! That cost me a few spots, and I finished in 4th place. I'd have a lot of disappointing performances in my next handful of tries, but I'd eventually pass into first within 10 seconds of the last lap and kept the lead going strong, until another duck caught up with me. We were quickly approaching the finish line, and if I didn't have any boosts on hand, I surely would have lost. Thrusters activate! Woo! Yes! Lost Valley, Costa Rica was less about the water movement and more about the obstacles in your way and the tight sections throughout the track. It felt like I didn't go too long without hitting a wall, red buoy, or another duck. I got 6th place on my first try, and on my second, I discovered something that doesn't really surprise me much in these games anymore.
That's right, we're gonna cheat.
Okay, wait a second. I saw him run right through that red ball. What are we doing? Classic old school racing game cheating. I was in another situation in the final lap where I was in first place and a CPU was right on my tail. We were neck and neck, and as I was approaching the finish line, I boosted to the right to cut to the end, while the CPU took the long way around for some reason. That brings me to the last track in the game, Lava Trail, Hawaii, and it's all the way up to track level 4. Could the orange soda trails prove to be the fiercest amongst all the races so far? Actually, no. It turned out to be one of the easiest races so far. The worst thing this track has are the large turns, but maybe that affected the CPUs more than me, because this was a breeze. Even in the moment, I knew it was way too easy to be the final track. And my theory was proven right, because the day championship and the night tracks were unlocked after winning. The track levels move up in difficulty, reaching numbers unseen by man. And as described, all the tracks go from daytime to night. There's more red buoys to avoid in each track too, but that was all. These are still the same tracks I just played through in the daytime, with some minor changes. The CPUs didn't appear to increase in difficulty either, and most tracks only took 2 tries to beat, with the exception of Wildwater Canyon. No, wait, no! Damn it! Completing all of the nighttime races unlocks the nighttime championship and the mirror mode, and it's just the daytime tracks mirrored with more red buoys on them. I messed around a bit on these because I wanted to see what the bonus levels do, and it was something. What the hell? You have less than 30 seconds to get through this, and there's nothing to tell you what you need to do, which is reaching the end under the time limit while going through all the gates and collecting all of the yellow buoys. The rest of the races went about the same as the nighttime tracks. Costa Rica gave me the most trouble out of all of them. It trolls you with its red buoy placements. It's just terrible. But when it was all over, I unlocked the Mirror Championship, Fractal Tracks, and got one of the best endgame cutscenes ever. This is what it's all about. Oh, and a new boat, which is the only one I've unlocked after beating all of these same areas 3 times over. The fractal tracks are actually pretty sick. They're randomly generated based off their seed. Not a lot of racing games do this. And while they weren't crazy to race through or anything, it was still pretty cool to see. I did end up getting this weird first place art at the end of the randomized race, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. I still had to beat the day, night, and mirror championship, which are all the same races in a championship setting instead of by themselves. They really tried to squeeze every little bit of content they could get out of this game. I ended up beating all of them on my first try, and winning each championship rewards you with extra boats, and more of those silly FMV cutscenes. You also get these trophies too, but 2 out of the 3 are positioned so weirdly like, you can hardly even tell what this says. But that's all there is to show for this game. With no more championships or races to complete, I proved that you can beat turboprop racing as a rubber duck. Thank you all so much for watching. I wanted to try and get some B-roll for the end of the video, but after beating all the championships and changing out of the duck costume, the game just kinda broke. I can't move. It won't let me choose any other race. I don't know if that weird first place art had anything to do with it, or if saving after the randomized race corrupted my file, but the race selection screen was completely frozen, and only let me play on the one randomized track I already checked out, so oh well. Turboprop racing is a little hard at first, but it doesn't take long to get used to. It's a solid simulation-style arcade racing game. I just wish there was a little more to it. Maybe switching up the paths in the nighttime tracks could have made the game more interesting. Not upgrading anything didn't seem to have much of an effect either. Some tracks were harder than others, but you can definitely win with any boat if you keep crashes and slowdowns to a minimum. What really deserves some praise here is the music and the game's announcer, as it always seems with these lesser-known racing game titles. The electronic music fits so well, and it'll get your body moving. It was all composed by the group Apollo 440, who have also done remixes from artists such as OMD, U2, and oh look, Charlie's Angels 2000. Big shout out to the announcer in this game too. His enthusiasm kept things fun and silly. But while Turboprop Racing isn't quite Hydro Thunder levels of enjoyable, it's still a decent title that's well worth checking out, especially if you're into boats or ducks. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, I stream all of my challenge runs live on my Twitch channel, and here on YouTube. If you'd like to check that out, be sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitch. The link to my Twitch channel, along with links to my other social media accounts, can be found in the description. If there's a challenge run you'd like to see, you can also check out the description for a direct link where you can submit your ideas. Thanks again for watching, everyone. See you in the next video. Oh, and we got a new boat, Radioactive.